One of the best things that you can do for weight loss is to eat breakfast like a king. I have to admit that I think I eat lunch like a king and breakfast like a queen, but whatever. And sometimes the queen eats as much as the king. Lunch like a queen, and then tea like a pauper, or you call it supper, yeah? I think that when I say tea, you probably think I mean a cup of tea, yeah? But we call an evening meal tea. And as one lady said to me, well, what do paupers eat? I said, sometimes nothing. What many people are doing today, and I see it in many countries I go to, they eat breakfast like the pauper, they eat lunch like the pauper, and the tea or the supper is the king and the queen together. That's like going on a journey, and you start your long journey and you go to the gas station, we call it a petrol station, call it a gas station, and just put a little bit in. And then an hour later put a little bit more in, and then an hour later put a little bit more in, and then you've done this all day, and then you finally get to your destination, you go into the gas station and you fill your tank and then park it in the garage. How much sense does that make? And yet that's what most people are doing. Little bit here, little bit there, little bit there. End of the day, king and the queen together, and the body says, finally, we've got some nourishment. And then they say, oh no, they've gone to bed. So what are we going to do with all these calories, these units of energy? We're just going to have to store them. So number 2 for weight loss, low carbohydrate. Low carb, high fibre. Generous protein. And healthy fats. I gave the story this morning when I talked about diabetes of Jim, the guy who was a type 1 diabetic and got off all his medication. And do you remember the weight loss he experienced? Quite phenomenal. And it wasn't just that he was eating breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen and tea like a pauper. It wasn't just that he was on a low carbohydrate, high fibre, generous protein and healthy fat diet. It was also the fact that he began to drink more water. He was having 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. And when you start drinking more water, it's also time to start having some whole salt. But it's the 4th point that I think made a dramatic effect. It all has an effect. And that was the high intensity interval training. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you inside the cell and show you why the high intensity interval training is so affected. So this is intervals of high intensity, intervals of recovery, and it's done for a cycle. And Doug McGuff, the heart doctor, he suggests 30 seconds high intensity, 90 seconds recovery for a cycle of 6. There's 15 minutes a day. Sorry, but no excuse. If you haven't got 15 minutes, start to write down how long you're on the computer, how long are you on the phone, how long are you on your iPad. How long do you spend watching television? And you will quickly see time to do some adjustments with your time. Just let me define high intensity. It's anything that gets the heart rate up and the breathing. So Michael and I, we run up hills every day, and our recovery is walking down hills, and we run up the other hill. Most of the research has been done on an exercise bike where the person, if they're unstable on their feet, they're holding on. It's very good if they've got hip or knee or ankle problems, then the weight is not on those areas. and you can cycle as fast as possible, and then your recovery time can just be slow cycle. It could be swimming, doing laps of the pools. It could be push-ups. I mentioned when my boys visited last April at Easter holidays, they were doing 1,000 push-ups a day. They do it 20 at a time, 20 at a time. So they were certainly doing that interval all through the day. And they got out on my back veranda and were doing the pull-ups. The recovery time is really just till you feel it's time to run again or it's time to go fast again. It doesn't have to be 90 seconds, but that's what you're aiming for. Your recovery time is an indication of your fitness. The longer you take to recover, it's usually an indicator that the more unfit you are. And if you take a long time to recover, don't worry about it. This is progressive. That's what Al Sears' book says, progressive acceleration of cardiopulmonary exertion, pace. So as you get stronger, as your body gets fitter, you'll be able to do less recovery time.